So hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 223 and in this video I want to talk about a flowchart. Like I said, a flowchart can help a lot in programming, but it is just optional, you don't need it. But to make it easy for yourself, you should learn it. I hope you learned it a little bit. And here on the screen you can already see a more professional flowchart, which is also free. I just picked it randomly on the internet. There are many free flowcharts, how you can create them, and you can see this is a little bit more professional because you can see there are more shapes with more meaning in it. But actually a real flowchart needs only 3 shapes. So this professional tool you need more for documentation purposes or for the group task. What I mean with that is if you are working with other persons, then you can make a flowchart and explain your code with this flowchart so that he can understand it a little bit faster. But in our case, it is better to use just a random flowchart. What I mean with that is if you just want to understand your code or create your code and make a flow diagram, then it is better just to create a very simple fast flowchart. You don't need it graphical. You can just take here a pencil on a paper or here a paint and then just use it. But before that, I want to show you the 3 essential shapes which you really need, because a flowchart needs not that much shapes, and too much shapes it's anyway too complicated, because a flowchart is here to understand the code in a very easy way. And now I want to show you which shapes you really need. The first shape which you really need is this one. This one indicates the start and the end point. Here you start, and after the start you will go in a direction, and any later you will find an end point. And important is every path needs a endpoint later, right? So this is the first shape which you really need. The second shape is this rectangle shape. This rectangle shape means just execution of code. And interesting is actually when we watch our code, the whole program is an execution of a code, right? So with other words, every element are execution of a code. So this rectangle is presenting any code normally. But there is one exception. And the one exception is in a flowchart, it is the keywords with a condition. So there are different kind of keywords with a condition. For example, the if here has a condition, then a while has a condition. And there are some other keywords as well. For example, which we learned, it's a switch has also conditions. And every keyword which you find which have a condition, for these keywords we have a separate shape. And this separate shape is this route shape. And the reason for that is because when you watch it, the normal execution code here before, let's go back one step. The normal execution code here, you come from top, for example, which means the path comes here, it comes to the execution code, and it goes directly from one output on. So there is no side output, something like that or that. There is only one path with this execution code. And this changes with this just mentioned keyword with condition. This is not the case here, and that's why we have here this special shape. It is this route, because the condition depends on the condition. We have to go another path. And for example, we go this path if the condition is true. You can write here true, but you see true takes a little bit too much time to write. Instead of writing true, you can just indicate it with 1, which is true, and 0, which is false. And every condition path, you can see it here. If it's true, it will enter this body. If it's not true, in this case, it will enter the else statement. Here is this while. If the while condition is true, it will enter the while body here. It's big. And if it's not true, you can see it will just continue with the code here. That's very important to understand. And then let's go here again. Oops. So this is the route shape for special for all the conditions. But there is one more shape which is not official, which I use myself. But before that, of course, again, the last thing what you know is you need these arrows, and these arrows must be finished with an end position. Let's see. So let's say you have here conditions. It can happen that you have not one end position. It can happen that you have here more end conditions, for example, like this. And after this condition, it can happen that it comes again our execution code. Then it can happen it comes again a condition code, again with a condition here. And then it can happen again here. That we have here again 2 different endpoints. Here we have our endpoint, and let's say at this point we have here again our execution code, and after the execution code we have here our endpoint. So important is you can see that every path, when we follow now this path here, every path needs an endpoint. So you can see, let's say I start here, I do this code, I have a condition, I go this path, here is an endpoint. Good. Which means the code which you wrote worked in a way that you expected. Then this path here goes here, it goes here, it executes this code, it goes here. Here we have a condition. If it's true, again, 1 is true. Let's say here 1, 0, 1 is true. This is false. 1 is true. This is false. So you can see the false path executes here. The true path executes first a code and then executes. And every path must have an endpoint. And that means this flowchart is well defined, which means every path is considered to be right. But like I said, there is one more shape which I want to introduce you, and interesting is I don't know if there is a representation of this one here because I have not watched this through, but I use one more shape here, and this one more shape I call it the skip shape. I want skip code, with other words, which I don't consider to be very important. And what I mean with that is, let's go here in this sort algorithm, and you can see here on top I have this if condition here, and here starts my while. Let's say I'm not interested in this code here on top. I mean, this one is just a condition check. So which means if this condition here on top is false, I can't even enter this while loop, because you can see this if here, not this one actually, but here it will do something and then it will throw in this case. And that was not the right place. I think I want to show you this one here. Yes, these are the conditions. Here we have a condition, here is another condition, and this conditions here, this two if, here it throws out I'm not interested, which means I can't go on. This else if it will break if this condition. So, and if all these things are not so important for me, I say, okay, why I have to model this one in my flow diagram? I can make a shortcut or a skip shape, and the skip shape which I use is this one here, but this is my own defined shape. It's very simple. It's one of this I use again these two shapes here combined, which means I say, okay, this is execution of a code. You can see I want skip, let's say this block here, right? I want skip this. This block is execution of a code, but it is also a else if. So what I do is I indicate this with a combination of these two, like so. You can see this one I want skip, but I have indicated it is possible that here it can lead to an endpoint, right? That's very important. This one I have to indicate. Let me which means I don't I don't examine this code and will continue with the other flow. Let me show you this here. I would start normally here at top. Then I would go to, let's say here, I will talk in the next video about this while loop, so it's perfect that I show you this one. So let's say the start point is a while loop. The while loop, let's say this one started here, and normally there is a condition first. Let me show you. Let's make this right a little bit, which means I have to move this a little bit down. So if I would go here, and I start, let's say I start with this while loop, then a while loop is a condition, which means I have to use this route because a while loop can be true, false, right? And then this is my start point. Like I said, I enter the while loop here. This is the code where I start. This is start point. This is just here. The while loop has a condition. The condition can be true or can be false. This is true. This is false. And I have to check now both states. And this while loop here, you can see the false state will continue the code. Okay, let's say the false state, this one will continue the code at later endpoint. But I will not go through the whole code now. That I want to do in the next video. And here, interesting is, like I said before, this one I won't skip, right? Because I said this is just some conditions which I'm right now not so interested. And then I say, okay, the true state means here, if it's true, I enter this body. Here it starts with my code which I won't skip. Okay, I just connect this here. And I just continue here. So I don't use this condition here, but I indicated I have to check. This box means you have to check separately, right? Let's write check separately. All right, check separately. So because I don't want now model all the if-else statement here, and this you make when you don't just want to skip some code which is not so essential, and then you can go on with your normal flow. Then in the next video I'll show how this works. And here, let's say this here is representing a while loop, which means, let's say here I would continue, and later, because later I should be here. That was not good. Let's make it so. Let's go. That was check separately. Let's say I continue here because, like I said, every line must have an endpoint, and you can see this false has not an endpoint, and this one has not an endpoint. So you make it just easy because I know I'm not showing it right now, but let's say this code, if this works fine, so if the while loop works ordinary, it will continue later here too, right? So with other words, if this true statement works fine anytime, I can go here later, depends on the code what I have to a break again. Well, let's say if I find again a switch, if not, I will end to an endpoint, and I can just indicate this one here because I want not go on, and here with this and this. Okay, that was again very ugly. Let's make it a little bit better. Here, and this one. So these are the things which I want to use in this graph. This one is what I use most time because, like I said, the real thing what you really need is this shape here, and this shape here. These are the three basic shapes. And of course the arrows, you have to know every arrow here, every arrow represents a path. So the path must have an endpoint. So you go here, must have an endpoint. You go here, must have an endpoint. You can see, you can choose here again, must have an endpoint, here again, here, endpoint. And in the next video, I want to talk about this while loop here. We will model this while loop more in detail with all the other codes here. And I will use also the skip here because I will not model every code and to make it more easy. All right, that was a little introduction for the flowchart which I use, but this is not the official version. If you want the official version, you have to read again flowcharts in Wikipedia and official sites, and they use much more shapes. I don't use much more shapes because I think if it's simpler, it's better, right? A flowchart is here to help you to understand the program, and you understand it much easier if the flowchart is here very simple, right? That's the thing. One more thing which I forgot to mention is, of course, you have to write the condition here in this place here, because when we read this condition block here, for example, and we go this path or this path, we have to know what the condition is, right? Or the same goes with the execution code. You can write here some execution code, what this execution code is doing. For example, if it's a swap function, then you write here swap, it will make this swap here. Then you write here a while function. While, if this one is a while, then you write the condition here. You write not a while, because it's only interesting that we are only interested in the routes of the conditions. Then you write it here. And one more thing, perhaps that's very important. I said this symbol here represents a start. This is just the on top, and all the other here, all the other endpoints are possible endpoints. But there is a special case of endpoints. What I mean with special case, there is a normal endpoint and there is an arrow interrupt endpoint, and you can indicate something like this with, let's say here, error. And what I mean with arrow endpoint, I showed you this one in my code. For example, here the else states say throw 7777 is our try catch block. We found an error, and this error will terminate my program. So this is also an arrow endpoint, but you can indicate the program stopped here with an error, and if you don't indicate it, for example this one here and this one here, the program stopped normally. So at least the while loop, let's examine the while loop. The while loop here stopped here normally, but here with an error, right? So for example, that can happen too. That's very important too. And I think with that said, I stop here the introduction for a flowchart, which we will create in the next video. I will use exactly that what I explained to you here. And again, this flowchart here, this one here, it's not official. This one I just use myself to make all simple and not to draw all only the important parts. And this one I check separately. Like I said, this one I can watch here and see, yes, this is just condition here. I don't need this one for understanding the code. This one means just if the pointers are set, if the pointers are not set, I make an error. If the other pointers are not set, I break it. With other words, this one here will just, like I indicate here, create an error. If no error, it will continue here the code. That's why I use this skip shape here. And the skip shape is just a combination of the rectangle and the square here. This one here with the route here and the rectangle, which indicates you have to check. There could be a condition, must be not a condition, because it is just a skip or skip shape. All right, with that said, I hope you learned the flowchart, because you will see in the next video it can help, must not help, but I think you should learn it. And yeah, if you have any questions or any comments, like all time, write it in the comment section. And see you in the next video, where we create not the whole sort. I think I want just create this while loop, because I want to make it not too complicated. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye, good luck, and try it yourself before I show this, and you will see it can improve your coding and your understanding a lot, and helps you perhaps later. Okay, bye, see you, and like all time, have fun.